We begin with overnight news. A car burst into flames after a late-night crash into Albuquerque. Police say the driver was speeding and weaving through cars on I-40 going west near Coors. They say the driver crashed into another car, then ended up in the median. Now, the car caught fire. The driver had to be pulled out. That person is okay and is now charged with drinking and driving. And the driver of the car that was hit went to the hospital, but we are told should be okay. New this morning at 5:32, New Mexico State Police were investigating a shooting involving a Sandoval County Sheriff's deputy. Just after 9 last night, deputies were called out to New Mexico 313 in Algodones when neighbors heard gunshots. One witness who called police heard the shots and saw the person who got shot actually fall. That person says dispatchers told him there was a domestic dispute going on, something he says is not common in the area.
Well, this is certainly not Hell's Kitchen. I mean, this is Algodones. It's very peaceful here, and the biggest concern around here lately is because of the floods and the ditches blowing out.
Well, investigators are not releasing much information about the shooting or the names of the deputy and the person who was shot. We do expect to learn more later today. State police are now in charge of that investigation. A follow-up on an overnight shooting we told you about yesterday morning in Albuquerque near Candelaria and Carlisle. Someone called 911 reporting someone had been shot at a house near Tulane and Altamonte Northeast. When officers got there, they found Jonathan Guzman had been shot in the leg and the chest. He was rushed to the hospital. He went through surgery and is now stable. Witnesses say the family had been drinking and got into an argument. Later, police arrested Donovan Bookout. Well, a federal lawsuit filed by the family of a civil rights attorney found dead in her car in Albuquerque has been dismissed this morning. Mary Hahn was found dead inside her garage back in November of 2010. An autopsy showed she died from carbon monoxide poisoning, and her death was ruled a suicide. Her family has always maintained that Hahn was murdered and sued, saying APD botched the investigation. But a U.S. District Court judge disagreed and dismissed the case. City Attorney David Turek says the lawsuit was frivolous. The family spokesperson says they plan to appeal, pointing out the Attorney General said there were problems with how APD handled that case. Well, from this morning's Albuquerque Journal, the petition drive to put reduced penalties for marijuana possession on the ballot in November has come up short. The newspaper quotes the Albuquerque City Clerk's office saying supporters failed to gather enough valid signatures, and they say city staffers arbitrarily disqualified many of the signatures. City Clerk's office says the arbitrary allegation there is incorrect. The pro-pot people are about 5,000 signatures short. They're meeting with attorneys to figure out their next move. We shall keep you updated. Well, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office has handed the case of a former police chief to the district attorney's office. APS Police Chief Steve Tellez is accused of taking ammunition from the district. In July 2012, an APS supervisor said she accidentally ordered about 1,000 rounds of ammo used in rifles. Now, since APS officers do not use that type of ammo, the department was supposed to send it back to the manufacturer, but never did.
Steve Tellez had offered to buy the ammunition because it was ordered in mistake. That was denied.
APS told Tellez he could not buy the ammo because the district probably got it for a cheaper price than the general public, and it's against policy for employees to benefit from that. An employee did eventually issue him one case of bullets, but investigators found he did not need the bullets for a particular class that he said he did need.
We were able to talk to the people that put the armorer's class on and find out that he didn't need the ammo for that, and the ammo was never checked back in.
Mr. Tellez admitted to deputies he took 500 rounds. They're still trying to figure out what happened to the other 500. Tellez was fired in March. The district attorney's office is now reviewing the case. Well, the Albuquerque School Board president has hired a private attorney to investigate Superintendent Winston Brooks, but she will not say why. President Annalie Maestas says she made the decision after a private session with the board last month, where she says a serious personnel issue was discussed. Mr. Brooks has been involved in controversy before. He was suspended for 3 days last year for tweets he made about Education Secretary-designate Hannah Scandera. Well, the head administrator for a charter school that's involved in a federal investigation is being put on paid leave. The boards for Southwest Learning Center and Sam's Academy made this decision yesterday. The schools are now part of an investigation from the FBI, and they're at the center of a report from the state auditor. This week, we told you how the state auditor raised red flags about how Scott Glassroot could be profiting from his schools. One issue, the report says the schools are paying more than $1 million to rent planes from the company that Glassroot owns. Well, New Mexico's Corrections Department is now focusing on reducing the number of gang members in segregation by having them renounce their gang affiliations. With a new program, inmates must renounce their gang affiliations and follow some strict rules. Then they'll go back to the general population with other former gang members. The Corrections Department says nearly 10% of the state's 7,000 inmates are living in segregation up to 23 hours a day. The department wants to cut that number in half. Well, if you're headed to Colorado, maybe to go camping anytime soon, stay away from rabbits. There's a bad case of rabbit fever going on in Jefferson County, just west of Denver. The fever is killing the bunnies, and it can kill people, too, if they get bitten by the sick rabbits or by fleas or ticks that are infected. The county says the best way to stay safe is to avoid the rabbits and wear insect repellent. Sad story here. Zookeepers think weather may be to blame for a freak accident that killed a camel in Albuquerque this week. The zoo says just before it closed Wednesday night, a zookeeper heard a crash. So zookeepers rushed over to the exhibit and found a branch fell on top of Bee, the camel, killing her. The zoo is now evaluating all of the old cottonwood trees and trimming or removing them to try to prevent something like this from happening again. Bee had been at the biopark for 20 years.